Make sure you join us next time for the next live event for the Mississippi Gulf Coast Billfish Classic, June 9th through 11th in Biloxi, Mississippi. Ronnie, you get to go there. Peter and I get to stay here in the studios. You get to see the big fish.
Yeah, I'm going to be headed down to Biloxi, Mississippi for what is one of the biggest billfish tournaments of the year. And last year's winner, it just takes time. It's going to take a little bit of time to get down there, Robbie, but it's going to be a great time when we get there. It's going to be a lot of similar fishing we've seen for the Venice events and the other events in that Gulf division.
And again, look at that, 22 swordfish. I'm looking forward to seeing some swords, 24 marlin. There are a lot of billfish being caught in similar waters that we've seen other Gulf Coast events. But we're talking the Atlantic here at the NEFMA Blue Water event. And now we're looking for blue marlin, not the white marlin we saw down there in the Caribbean, maybe a blue mixed in. The blue marlin are going to be key here. We've already seen those as well as the sails.
They are the highest point getters, those blue marlin. They are kind of the gold of the points race, 350 points for those blue marlin. And obviously you mentioned all of the other billfish. Hey, similar techniques for some of these fish, but there are definitely teaser rigs out specifically for the bait fish you're trying to catch, or maybe even the mahi-mahi and championship division level fish.
But what are the dredges?
Typically, a normal marlin spread would be 2 dredges, 2 teasers, 2 short flat lines, and then 2 long riggers. Typically, we'll pull an artificial dredge, which is what this is all squids, resembles a school of fish behind the boat. And then one side will be a natural dredge. Everybody does it differently, so this fishing. This is a artificial dredge. Mimics a school of squid with some tunas, maybe chasing them. We pull it on with an LP reel and a gem lug dredge boom. It's the easiest way to pull them on a center console. The other dredge that I will pull at the same time will be probably a 2-tier dredge, which is what you see the star here, with another one underneath it. It will have some mud flaps and some live mullets mixed in with it, so it'll be a mixture of artificials and dead bait. That's your dredge.
And for those not familiar, that dredge, I mean, there's a lot going on there. A lot can go right and a lot can go wrong. Peter Miller, you've dealt with it your entire life. And I like how he mentioned artificial as well as live bait, because sometimes, even though there's no hook, it gives them a taste. That taste in their mouth is what HALF-A-BUC is looking for, and to get that billfish to bite.
Yeah, that little squeeze, that little squish of a dead rigged bait is all they need to keep them fired up on that teaser.
Get HALF-A-BUC, the defending champion, you see as they're working their way out. Ronnie, in all fishing, whenever you see that vegetation around, there seems to be other forms of life around it, and they key off of those areas.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. Some of the teams that are wanting to target that vegetation because they know that the mahi-mahi are going to be feeding on other kinds of bait fish, but those billfish, the blue marlin, the white marlin, they're going to feed on those mahi-mahi and other forms of bait. So it is an ecosystem of life right there.
Talked about the invincible boats, yellowfin tuna. There are plenty of tuna in these waters as well, but more blackfin seem to be caught.
Look at that dredge right there. That is a massive dredge. My buddies at Fish Razor created those, and those pink squid. If you find fish coming into the pink, you got to go with it. Otherwise, you're going to be jumping in the drink.
Yep. So today we're out here taking the same approach as yesterday, pulling lures around. Had a few mahi coming to our spread, so we're picking at those. Hopefully we'll get the right one coming in and go ahead and take advantage of the bite.
Taking advantage of that opportunity, so if they get in the mahi, they get one that's over 20, maybe they could take the lead. Again, $50,000 in our championship fish categories.
Yeah, they could have the target of a blue marlin or another billfish, but while they're there and they can see that mahi-mahi activity, why don't you get your hat in the ring for maybe $50,000, Robbie?
This ain't gonna win you $50,000. We got a little chicken dolphin, or what do you like calling them?
A Baylor dolphin. Are those ones that you can pull in through the leader, you know, less than 5-10 pounds?
You ready? Yeah. All right. Wow. Hey, still. That's that drag, probably. All right. Got a hard to clear off with you. Yes, sir.
Peter, you knew when they started strapping in, they weren't chasing mahi-mahi anymore. They had the bad boy on the line.
Oh, yeah, it was a well-choreographed strap-in. I really like to see that. And when they finally got the sight of that big blue marlin.
The Sport Fishing Championship on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Garmin, by the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation, and by St. Augustine and St. Johns County, Florida's historic coast.
24 teams trying to do what HALF-A-BUC did last year, and that's win the NEFMA Blue Water Tournament from St. Augustine, Florida. Welcome everybody to the Sport Fishing Championship. And we are back on board with Team HALF-A-BUC hooked up with their first blue marlin. There's one thing, guys, about getting on the line. There's another one with getting an official catch and release.
Yeah, and every single victory counts the same, and it feels the same, Robbie, but to win the 50th anniversary of the NEFMA, it would be huge for Team HALF-A-BUC. Plus, they would go back-to-back.
This is kind of what we've been seeing in the other tournaments, fighting the fish out of the chair and the bucket.
Again, this is the team that won last year. This is the 50th anniversary. A lot is on the line. A lot of money is on the line, as well as prestige. Let's go on board.
Yep, he's got that leader. It's a legal catch.
Woo! Oh, yeah.
Now we'll definitely need a really good underwater shot.
Yep.
Just the idea.
Can I hammer the drag now?
Catch is confirmed, Robbie, and then kind of the evaluation of every crewmate. Did we do the right thing? Did good job. Kudos to you. High fives all around, and 350 points to their total.
That might be the most unenthused first blue marlin of any team, especially as the defending champs. Man, I mean, those are big fish. You saw the salad on the line.
In the DR, they call that ensalada on the line.
I'm glad you're working on your Spanish. And when you look at HALF-A-BUC as well, this is a team, when they're doing that wrapping, it is time to get rid of that leader and do that release. But the fish has other ideas.
Yeah, and you can see the guy backing up the leader, man. He's bringing in that extra leader that's flying around the deck. You don't want to get it wrapped around your neck. So they got that fish right on the side of the boat. The captain's got the boat in gear, and that's what you want to see. You want to get that fish nice and healthy and revived, oxygen flowing through his gills at this point, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Doing what they did last year, or trying to do what they did last year in winning the Blue Water Tournament. A team that's out of St. Augustine, so these are their home waters. They might have to go 100 miles out to be home, but this is home to them, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a home field advantage for Team HALF-A-BUC, and they're using it wisely this week and last year, trying to defend the home turf, Robbie.
And there's something you want to do here. Would you see the weed on the rod there, guys? You can see the weed coming off the rod. You never want to shake the rod or shake the line. You want to keep it consistent, keep that fish coming in and wind through the weed. That's what they're doing. He's staying low. He's got that big fish on the leader. He's got to let go for a second. Got a little too hot.
So nice catch as well as a release for Team HALF-A-BUC, their first blue marlin of the tournament. Still in a game of catch-up right now. HALF-A-BUC cruising around in that 64-foot Viking boat, trying to win back-to-back titles in the Blue Water Tournament. Welcome back inside our Sport Fishing Championship studios. Robbie Floyd, Ronnie Moore, Peter Miller down in Florida. And Ronnie, we finally get that first catch for HALF-A-BUC. It took a while, but they get that taste.
Yeah, we had our eyes on this team. Obviously, being the defending champions of this event, we were wondering how long it would take them to break through. Day one, no success. Day two, getting that first blue marlin, but they're still behind Robbie because they have to make up the bonus points aspect that VELA had and the sailfish that they caught as well.
The thing, Peter Miller, I saw out of that was they were really subdued. They were really laid back. We've seen teams before at each of our tournaments. I mean, it is a madhouse. It is scrambling. I did not see that out of this team. Very much veteran-like and well-established.
Like exactly what you're saying. These guys have been doing it, and we've said this many, many times ad nauseum, as a matter of fact, that these guys have been doing it their entire lives, and that's exactly the case. They work like a well-oiled machine. Everybody brings in and moves around, and they have a ballet on the cockpit of the boat, and they get that fish, they leader it, and it's sometimes very subdued.
Again, don't be yelling out commands and things, and just don't get in my head. Let me take care of business. VELA is doing just that, taking care of business. As we look at the points as it stands right now, several blue marlin being caught. We also have that sailfish, but 525 leads them all, but HALF-A-BUC not too far behind. Just one more blue marlin out of the lead. Welcome back to the Sport Fishing Championship, the iconic first city of the United States of America, St. Augustine, Florida, for the NEFMA Blue Water Tournament. So many things to do here, Castillo de San Marcos. I said it in the best Spanish accent that I possibly could, because again, it was a long time ago when we had that Spanish influence. 1565 they landed here, and Robbie Floyd with Ronnie Moore next to me and down in the state of Florida, his home state. And that was one of the forts that was keeping these lands safe for a long time.
Back in 1672, they did the construction on Castillo de San Marcos. I think your Spanish is pretty good, the flavor that you had there. But they're trying to make history once again in this historical city this week. Team HALF-A-BUC, the champions from last year. We saw last segment they got to get their first points of the tournament, a blue marlin on the board for them, but they're still behind, Robbie.
Only befitting we saw VELA shoot across the bow of all the other 23 teams, but HALF-A-BUC come back charging, trying to defend that title that they won in the 49th edition of this tournament. But we're talking about year 50, the 50th anniversary. HALF-A-BUC trying to go back-to-back. GEDDY up trying to get their win as well. And looking at this map, and this isn't exact, Team GEDDY up is a little bit further away than some of our other teams, looking for that right water and what makes it so special on the outside.
I think for the last hour, we're gonna change up the tunes, change up the vibe on the boat, maybe get a couple Miller Lights flowing. Hopefully a blue one piles on.
I know they're not Canadian. Maybe they need a Labatt's blue or something to fire it up. But again, you get out here and it's not out for 1 day or 2 days. It's a 3-day tournament, and you can win it all in that final day if you need to.
It is a big haul out there for these teams, and Peter knows how quickly it can go from bad to good. A little vibe change, some team morale change, and you can get right back in the game. We're over now with Team REELXCAPE as they try to put their first blue marlin in the boat as well.
You notice that setup where they had got the buckets kind of hanging off the chair? I gotta love it.
Fishing with circle hooks, so when the fish bites, you gotta drop back and put a bow in the line so the hook catches in the fish's mouth. It's not like a regular J hook where you set the hook. The fish has to catch himself with a circle hook. So when the fish bites, you drop the line back and let him take the bait, and the line forms a bow, and then the hook works its way into his mouth and gets caught. There's an edge out here with some warm water. Hopefully we can find a good weed line and find a marlin.
Peter, I think you said it best. With that circle hook, the fish catches itself. How many times you see people fishing? Uh-oh, you hear that sounder. Power play with a sailfish. That's 75 points now for power play. They're in the mix. But all of these guys using those circle hooks, letting the fish catch themselves. And the circle hooks are about conservation and keeping these fish out there in the water to be caught once again. But also the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation is about conservation, and hopefully you can go out there and catch some of these fish.
Northeast Florida Marlin Association has really been a wonderful benefit to our destination. Offshore fishing is a big part of what we have to offer here in this destination, and they provide a wonderful opportunity to school captains to create an opportunity for folks who are interested in the sport to get out there.
My name is Jessica Jadek, and I am the Executive Director of the nonprofit Florida Water Warriors. So Florida Water Warriors is an eco-educational nonprofit. We take school kids out on the water to teach them about conservation. The Northeast Florida Marlin Association brought us on as they're one of our sponsors now. So they sponsor our summer camp, and they sponsor their clubhouse to us for our summer camp. So that's been an amazing partnership, and they've been incredible for our program.
Our events are best when they're catch and release, and that's what keeps the fishery going.
To me, conservation should be at the center of everything that we do as sportsmen. You know, if we don't release marlin and we don't release swordfish, we're not going to have those fisheries around.
Proud to be bringing you coverage of the Sport Fishing Championship from St. Augustine, Florida. The Blue Water Tournament. This is the big daddy of this neck of the woods in the Northeast Florida region. You see calm skies, calm waters, and it wasn't like that earlier in the week. Actually had to move the tournament back just a bit so they could have some great fishing opportunities to catch these billfish. And we see, looking at our leaderboard, Ronnie, VELA still on top. Those early catches were paying off, but power play, even that 75 points towards the end, one more blue marlin, they're in second.
Yeah, they have definitely have a chance to make up points there, but then you look at second place team Geddy Up and team HALF-A-BUC right there in the distance where, hey, one more blue marlin, they're going to be in command, not only in the lead, but in command.
Peter Miller early on, VELA starting off with that first blue marlin. It's always key to get that extra 100 bonus points.
Yeah, and it's funny, that's a big blue marlin, and the VELA actually stands for sailfish in Spanish.
Team Geddy Up got on the board for their billfish as well. Again, the bad boy wanted to run up there at the top. You're all good as long as there's constant tension. It's when she wants to go dive, dive, dive that you may have the issue. But not only a catch, a nice release for Geddy Up, and they are giddy up a little bit. Great job by Hunter there. And Team HALF-A-BUC trying to defend their championship, guys. Everybody looks at you. You have that target on your back until somebody knocks you off. And they're still the leaders in my mind, although they're not on the top of the leaderboard.
Especially, Robbie, when the back of their boat says St. Augustine, Florida. You know they're the locals, the defending champions, and the ones with some momentum as they're the ones getting their tournament really started on day 2 of this event.
And there's some highlights so far early on in this tournament. 24 boats left St. Augustine, but we only have 4 qualified catches as it stands right now. But that also doesn't count for the championship fish.
That sounds pretty real. Other way.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
That's worth a double wow.
Go, go. Take it on. Go, Daniel. Reel. Stop, reel.
Yep. Give me any pointers you need.
He's still taking line. All right.
Yep.
We're starting to gain a little bit, so you're good.
I'm gaining.
We're gaining some line.
Gaining on pretty good now.
Yep. He's getting some good line back.
Peter, that marlin was out there in the distance. I mean, that was a wow with the jumps, but look at the distance they're going to have to make up ground.
Oh yeah, that fish was ripping drag for the entire first portion of that video. And, you know, he couldn't even reel it, but that's a good move not to waste your time. Some people just wind against the drag, burn themselves out, and they're not even making any difference. So he's smart. He waited until it was time to go, and then he's cranking down on. They're staying tight, and they're getting after that fish. He's winding real fast now.
He's on the move. Coming up.
Again, you see no panic out of this team whatsoever. I think back at the first stop, Team Bandito, they were scrambling mad, lost 1 or 2 marlin.
It's a good feeling when you can feel the fish coming up when he's shaking underwater, and you know they're scoping up way out there and they're going to come up jumping, and that's when you're going to speed back and reverse and get that leader. And
Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
They got him.
You also notice the GoPro getting video footage as well the entire time, all of it on camera. Not only our camera, but their camera as well. That is a beautiful blue marlin.
You can always tell the difference in the blue marlin by the size of their shoulders. They kind of beef up, kind of, if you could imagine a human with traps. It's kind of like how the marlin get bigger and bigger, and they get like a hump on their, above their eye sockets there, right before their dorsal fin.
I'm just looking at the enormity of that blue marlin in comparison to some that we've seen so far this year. And you get the same amount of points for a big or a small. That is without a doubt a big.
That is biggie, not smalls.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Ronnie, it's all about the conservation as well. Once they get that catch and release right now, they're trying to keep that fish alive and is healthy. Run a little water through it. They have their line back out.